Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to the webinar. I am Jimmy Quick. I am part of the True Motivate team, and we're so happy to have all of you joining us today for this fantastic webinar with Lauren Gallagher from the University of Illinois, Chicago. Please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat area. Tell us where you're located, whether that's a city and state or whether that's your university or college. Anything you feel like you want to share, feel free to put that in the chat and let us know that you're here. We are going to have a Q&A at the end of Lauren's presentation. So please put any of your questions into the Q&A section. So we'll be using both the chat and the Q&A for our session. We're just allowing people to join, kind of filling a little bit of time here as we get started. We'll be starting in just a few moments. We have on the call today Sam Frazier and Sarah Johnson, both from True Motivate as well. If you want to give them a shout out in the chat, some of you may know them. You can choose who you're chatting to. You can chat directly to them because they are panelists. They're here to support you through this as well. True Motivate is the sponsor of this event, and you can find that at truemotivate.com. Again, please introduce yourself in the chat. And any questions you have for Lauren to answer, you can put those in the Q&A section. All right, I see we have quite a few attendees joining. It's great to see you guys here this morning. Thank you for spending this time with us. Lauren presented this presentation at NACE, and it was so amazing that we asked her to please share it with our audience as well. I'm going to introduce Lauren now. Lauren has served as the Assistant Director of Career Development and Internships at the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences at UIC for the past 6.5 years, providing career counseling and programming to students. She received her Master of Education in Community Mental Health Counseling and College Student Development from DePaul University. Lauren is a licensed clinical professional counselor. She works as a therapist and crisis worker at a nonprofit organization, in addition to her variety of roles at UIC. Very busy woman. Lauren teaches an internship class to undergraduate students, and that's really the crux of why we're here today. In that internship course, she incorporates various assessments and reflective activities in addition to professional development assignments. She encourages storytelling among her very diverse student population. And that's what we'll really be zeroing in on today. Lauren, we are so thrilled to have you. I'm going to turn it over to you while I work on getting the chat working.
Great. Thanks, Jimmy. And thanks to Motivate team for having me. I love working with you all, and I'm happy to kind of share a bit about me and my class. Would love to engage with you all. I know we can't chat at the moment, but I can see some of you who are here. I recognize some names. So thank you all for being here. I definitely want to make this interactive. And so if you have questions, like, as I'm presenting, don't hesitate to throw those into the Q&A and we will get to those. But first, I'm going to share a little bit more about me and my journey to how we sort of got here. So, all right. So a bit about me. Again, I'm Lauren Gallagher, and I absolutely love working with students. I've been at UIC for several years and am motivated to mentor, shape, and influence the development of others. I enjoy contributing in a way that uncovers what is unknown or hidden to others so that I can introduce ideas that make an impression. A little bit about me and my incredible team. So if you're not familiar with University of Illinois, Chicago, we are located in the city. Don't get us confused with University of Chicago or all those other Chicago schools, but we are one of the nation's most diverse public research universities, and a lot of people don't recognize how large UIC actually is. I certainly didn't when I started here, and I've been born and raised in Chicago. So we are a federally designated minority serving institution with 34,000 students. We are situated in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. And so our college is actually the largest college at UIC, servicing almost 10,000 students. And our office is the LAS Career Development and Internships Office, which is fairly new, founded in 2016. We have sort of a hybrid model at UIC where we have our incredible Central Career Services office that we collaborate really well with, and then some of our other career offices in the College of Business and College of Engineering. But what our office does is really focus on helping students who are exploratory. And the course that I teach is called the LAS 289 Internship course. It is offered every semester. It is an online synchronous course, which meets 5 times during the semester, offered again summer, spring, and fall. And the way students enroll in the class is they have to submit a form. I have to make sure that it meets our internship criteria, and students can get up to 6 credits and take the class twice. So a little bit about kind of UIC, our student body, a large first-gen, low-income minority population. And I see the chat is working. This is exciting. We have quite a few different states and schools represented. So great. Thanks for being here. All right. So since the chat is working, I am excited to hear why you even decided to join this session. What do you hope to gain out of today? Like, what information are you looking for? Would love to know why on a Tuesday morning you decided to join this webinar. Looks like maybe we have some other people who are teaching career courses, maybe doing some life design. Yay. Yes, storytelling is a powerful tool. Love it. Also managing internship and career development work with students, wanting to incorporate storytelling, looking for new ideas to implement. This is great. Looking for other career assessment tools. Always looking for new ways to uncover students' why. Yes. This is exciting. Cool. You are all in the right place. So, I would encourage you all to think a little bit about what is your why. Think about the current role that you're in. Maybe you are a student-facing position. Maybe you are kind of craving something else. Maybe you're not loving your role. And if anybody feels comfortable sharing that in the chat, would love to know a little bit more about what is your own personal why for doing the work that you're all doing. Ooh, I love that, Lynn. I love to empower others to live their best lives. As Jimmy mentioned, my background is in counseling. So storytelling has always been a huge part of my work. I think it's so powerful to be able to sit with somebody and learn about their story, learn about their journey, and then helping other people to recognize that is super powerful, right? I love this, helping students recognize all of their potential and taking those steps to bring that potential to life. I believe each person has value and find value in helping others find ways to live out their purpose. Love that. Supporting students and gaining a strong understanding of their why by using corporate world experience. Ooh, interesting. Cool. Awesome. Thank you all for sharing that. Now, so it sounds like a lot of us are working with students, right? So if you were to ask your students what their why in life is, how do you think your students would answer that question? Feel free to throw it in the chat. So if you're sitting one-on-one with students, or you are giving a workshop presentation and you ask your students, what is your why? How do you think that they would answer that question? Many of them might not know their why. Yes. Or the generic, maybe help others, but very surface level. not sure how to address it yet, or maybe just I want to make a living, right? Very basic. Maybe it's just around general interests, career goals. I just want to be a doctor. My family told me I should be a doctor. Everything from I want to help people to I need a job to make money to pay those bills. Yes, love it. Right. So we would probably get similar responses. And so I want you to think about what would change, right? If every student really understood their value and where they fit best, where they could really flourish in their career paths, and how those conversations would change. And so this is something that with our student population, we have a lot of, right? It's kind of exhausting, pulling this out of them. And I want to have more powerful conversations with students and realized that it was a struggle. One of my students, Charmy, shared recently with me that she took the assessment, and this is something that came from a reflection that she submitted. She said the power of understanding your why is very impactful, because there is a motivation within you that allows you to push yourself further regardless of the setbacks that come your way. And Charmy kind of started at UIC planning to do medicine, but she said, everything I did, I was just doing because I thought I should do it because it was going to look good on a med school application, and didn't necessarily take the time to really think about why I'm doing this. And it was really cool because when she got her internship with the National Alzheimer's Buddies, she realized the type of people, the type of issues, the things that she wanted to work with, and was able to be more intentional with some of the choices that she was making. So my journey to True Motivate started a few years ago. I have been teaching this class for several years. Every semester I change the class, I try new things. I've used a variety of different assessment tools, but really wanted to focus on the storytelling piece, and knew that's where our students really needed the most support. And so I was seeking resources to help students elevate their stories and practice that storytelling skill, while also helping students to increase their career readiness, and discovered this tool. And one of the big pieces for me was that facilitating was really easy. I didn't feel like I had to be an expert in all 27 motivations. I didn't feel like I had to do hours and hours of training, because fundamentally the whole purpose is to get students to own their stories. And so working with the True Motivate team has been incredible. They offer so many free resources and support. So I want to share a little bit more about the tool, how it builds on other tools, and how I've integrated it into the class, and share some student examples. Thanks, Jimmy, for showing Jack on the website. He shares a little bit about his internship and his motivations. So all right, a little bit about True Motivate. So hopefully we have some Brene Brown fans in the room, but I love her quote of stories are just data with a soul, right? And so what I learned about this assessment is there's actually been 60 years of research, researching one person, one story at a time. Over 1 million stories have been cataloged and analyzed. And there's been PhDs working on the research. For all of my data nerds, there's some information about validity, reliability of the assessment, and this kind of visual helps us all kind of understand where the motivations fit into some of these other things. So maybe you're familiar with the strong interest inventory, strengths, MBTI. I've used all of those assessments in my class, but always felt like something was missing. And I kind of would supplement with like my own little homegrown values assessment, because I always felt that the why was really the most important piece that we should be focusing on. And so this kind of shows a little bit about where that fits in with some of these other tools, right? And a lot of these tools can be used with each other. Again, it's data, and the more data that we can bring to our students, the better. So this is a little snapshot. This is actually my report. This is what the summary report looks like after you take the assessment. And so the assessment takes about 20 minutes. And what I loved about the assessment is when you start, you aren't picking a bunch of bubbles to fill in. You're literally telling your story. That is the foundation of the assessment. And I love stories, right? Because they are meaningful, powerful, and predictive. So after taking the assessment, answering some questions, you get this summary report and then a full report that's like 43 pages long that shares your motivations and really dives deep into your characteristics, the contributions. And then you'll also notice there's a piece for ideal work environments and there's a career piece attached to it. And so this is a little bit of a snapshot of what the fuller report looks like. And I will also share a QR code if you want to go in detail. I'm happy to share and be transparent with like what my report looks like. And I'll share in a little bit of how I use my report on different things, but feel free to use the short link or scan the QR code and you can see in detail what a full report looks like. All right, so this is one of my students, Jahari, and Jahari shares a little bit about why his motivations are really central to him.
Over the course of my internship, I was actually able to use my motivations in multiple ways, with my top two motivations being take charge and making an impact. I was able to do these by leading group huddles. So that was basically just team meetings that we had every week, participating in group projects, and also mentoring the new interns that came in each week. The things that I like most about my motivations is that I feel like it keeps me grounded. So whenever I start to feel myself feeling stressed out or just questioning myself at my job, I just think about those motivations and it just helps me think about my long-term goals. As far as career competency goes, I would say that career and self-development was the area that I was the strongest in. Usually, I'm actually not really an outgoing person. I don't really like reaching out to people much. But I feel like I did a great job of building up my network and making those connections within the internship. I actually took it upon myself to set up one-on-one meetings with managers of different departments, and with one of the managers who was actually the manager of the trader department, I was able to get an interview and secure a full-time role. So I felt like that was one of my biggest accomplishments.
I love Jahari's story when he talks about his motivations keeping him grounded. I literally get goosebumps. He was a student who is an economics student, kind of struggled throughout in his academics, has a pretty low GPA, but landed an internship with Charles Schwab and was able to really excel in his internship. So I love sharing his story and his feedback about how this tool really helped him and how powerful it was. So a little bit about the class. Feel free to scan the QR code or use the short link to have access to my syllabus and my assignments. I detail all of that on the syllabus and break down all of the assignments there. So feel free to take a look at it. But because our class only meets 5 times throughout the semester, there is a lot that we have to jam pack in there. So in our first class, we start with simply an overview and talk about professionalism. And I prep them for taking the assessment, how much time they'll need to carve out. Again, no more than 20 minutes. We watch a video on what the assessment actually looks like so they can see what they're going to be doing. During our second class, we spend the entire time storytelling. And so we do some large group activities. We break out into smaller groups. Sometimes I have student leaders who get to facilitate the discussion, but it's really a debrief to help students to really understand how their stories and connect to their motivations. We do a little bit of career exploration and career fair prep in that session, and then we integrate the assessment into the rest of the class. So we help them to connect their motivations to storytelling related to career readiness. We integrate the assessment into LinkedIn, doing their informational interviews, resume, cover letter, interview prep, all of the things. My class is now a fully online course, right? And so one thing that I really wanted to be intentional about is building community in a virtual setting. And so for the past several years, I've used Flip, formerly Flipgrid. Now it's getting integrated into Microsoft Teams, but we have Blackboard as our system, and I don't love Blackboard. It can be super wonky. And so I've used Flip to really help students share their story on video. And so this is an example of a prompt. Again, you can see all of those prompts on the syllabus. And if you haven't looked at Flip, I think it's a really cool tool, but this is sort of what the virtual video conversations look like. And so each of those phases is a student sharing a story, and then students have to listen to another peer's story and respond to that. So it's a really cool discussion tool that is video based. And so it's helping students to practice articulating their story. In that second class, I mentioned that we do a debrief. And so one really cool activity that I had students do is I have them come to class prepared with a picture that helps to illustrate what their motivations are. And so here is one of my pictures. I love this picture because I feel like it speaks to my influence motivation. And so it was really cool. I captured some of the students who were okay with me, you know, taking a little screenshot. But it was cool to have a visual of the entire class with their virtual backgrounds, which was a picture of something that really illustrated their motivations. And so Kyle here has shined the light. He was able to articulate kind of what that meant to him. So that was a really cool way for students to connect with their motivations and bring a little bit more of them into the class. Then from that, we have students, once they start to really understand their motivations a little bit more, understand what that looks like in terms of a job description or as they're looking at career options. And another thing I love about the assessment tool is that there is a whole page of career recommendations and everything is hyperlinked to My Next Move. So students can literally just click on it and they can start watching videos and getting a snapshot of some careers that they likely have never even heard of. Because students really, really struggle to articulate their story, one of the things that we're also doing is helping them to share their story. And so the idea of motivational flow helps students to understand what got me to say yes to this experience in the first place, what kept me involved in this experience, and then what was most satisfying for me after that. And so as students are sharing their story, we have other students who are also practicing asking follow-up questions. And so we will share these questions with students and say, you know, as your peer is sharing an experience, ask them, you know, what was most interesting to you about this, or what helped you to feel most satisfied at the end of this experience. And so it helps students to practice dialoguing with each other and really understand this idea of, oh, how are my motivations working together, which is really cool. And then it helps students to start to see patterns, right? Because we want students to recognize how these motivations are present, not just in their internships, but also in other aspects of their lives, right? Like what role do they take on in their friend group, with their family? And how can they start to see these patterns from several years ago so that it can better predict what might be coming next. So helping students to tell better stories. And then we also help them to align their motivations to different roles and responsibilities. So in class, I have them actually look on Handshake, spend some time doing a little bit of job searching or internship searching, whatever might be next. And I have them try to connect their motivations to what is actually in those job descriptions that they're looking at, right? So as they're reviewing those job responsibilities, what are the things that is capturing their attention? What are the things that they are excited to continue with? So this is kind of a snapshot of how my motivations play into my job description. So I don't know if any of you all are familiar with People Grove. People Grove is a system that we use for helping students to find mentor relationships with our alumni. And so our alumni team manages the system, and I use this for students to get connected to our alumni for informational interviews. LinkedIn has an incredible alumni tool, but I really like People Grove is a little bit more exclusive. And students can create a video intro. So what's really cool about People Grove is that there's this pool of alumni, and alumni can connect with each other, but students have to make that first initial outreach in order for that mentorship relationship to start. And so students create a video intro. Instead of just having the stagnant picture in the profile like a LinkedIn, they have a video intro. So here's an example of Rachel's video, which shares her motivations.
Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Barron. I am a junior at the University of Illinois at Chicago, double majoring in criminology, law and justice, and psychology, as well as sociology. I am an intern for the Women's Leadership and Resource Center. I am motivated to advocate for unity, equality, and peace, transforming ideals into reality. I enjoy contributing in a way that advances progress and promotes social justice so that I can continuously improve and inspire positive change for a more just and harmonious society. Given that, I'm interested in the legal professions or being an advocate as well as survivor empowerment.
So now when Rachel is connecting with alumni, instead of the alum kind of trying to understand Rachel's interests and experience, they have a video that really helps to articulate their story. So after students are connecting with alums, I mentioned how I integrate the motivations into various different assignments and tools throughout the semester. So we want them to have rockstar LinkedIn profiles. And so one thing that I'm sure many of you all see is that when a student is creating a LinkedIn account, it defaults and you see, you know, student at UIC or psychology student in the headline, right? And it doesn't tell us a whole lot about the student. And so what we do is we have students go through their characteristics and the contributions on the True Motivate assessment, and they pull some of that language to incorporate onto the headline. Now, even as we are going through that, sometimes it can be challenging. So we use our other expert in the room, ChatGPT, to help with that. And so what I love is that students can literally copy and paste the summary report of their True Motivate assessment, share it with ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, help me write a LinkedIn headline incorporating my motivations. Or, hey, ChatGPT, can you help to incorporate my motivational statement or some of the characteristics and contributions from my report into my about section? And so that is a prompt that I have students do. I don't give them points if they submit a headline that says student ad. It has to have something from their motivations in their headline and in their about section. So that's one really cool way to help elevate those things. And students use ChatGPT to help sift through those things and pull out those keywords. So that's an example of Jack again and how he integrated his motivations into his summary section. And then again, you can see some of the language that students use in their headline that really speaks to their skills and their why. All right. In addition to LinkedIn, I mentioned that students are doing informational interviews with our alumni. And another piece of the report, which might be my favorite part of the whole report, is there's a whole space for determining environmental fit. So what are your ideal work environments? What are your challenging work environments? And so students really reflect on that and develop questions for their alum that correlate to their ideal work environments. And so if they are really interested in working in an ER and they're having a conversation with an ER doctor and realize like, those environments are going to be really challenging for me, then we can kind of explore that a little bit further. So ChatGPT can also help with that. We can prompt ChatGPT to really focus on, create some questions for this person's profile that align with XYZ. And so it's really cool to see the questions that students come up with. This past year, students asked for a conversation about burnout to be integrated into the class. And so we are talking about how when you are using your motivations in your work and you are doing impactful work, then burnout is reduced. And so it was really cool to have some dialogue about, it's not about the amount of work that you're doing, but it's about the impact of the work that you're doing. And so if you're focusing on roles where you're using your motivations and you're in those work environments that are a good fit, then you're not going to have to deal with as much burnout. Then we use our motivations to help students articulate what they're doing in their internship on their resume. And so here is an example of some of my students' bullet points and how they've evolved. I have them submit a resume that highlights some of the language from the True Motivate report and how they actually edited their bullet points to incorporate some of that. We know that bullet point writing can be really challenging. And so I also use ChatGPT to help students update their bullet points. And so some of the prompts might be incorporate my motivations into these resume bullet points, where students can share the current resume bullet points that they have, and then they can pull the motivations from their report and say, update my bullet points with this information. And so I practiced it with my with my report and my resume. And so here's an example of some of the bullet points that it provided me. So utilize social media and other communication channels to influence students' awareness of internship opportunities and resources, or help students see beyond the surface qualities of their underlying potential and encourage them to explore possibilities. Language that I probably would not have used, and certainly I know our students aren't using it. And it's really cool to be able to diversify that and to create a resume that really speaks to the work that they're doing. And then our last session focuses on interviewing. And so we do a live mock interview in class for our last session. And so students are using their motivations to prepare the tell me about yourself response. And so again, you can prompt ChatGPT to say, here are my motivations, here's my resume. Can you create a tell me about yourself response? And so here is an example for me, what ChatGPT provided to me. I highlighted some of the language that was pulled from my True Motivate report. And then certainly, you know, we want to encourage students to adapt that and really own it, but it helps students to just really articulate their motivations a lot better. Then our final for the class is an internship showcase. And so this is where we really see those competencies come to life. They have to reflect on their competencies. They reflect on their journey. They reflect on their successes, their accomplishments. And so you can see the different options that students have really broken down for this assignment, but essentially they can either submit a 3-minute recorded video. So sometimes students will create a PowerPoint and do some audio over that. They can create either like TikToks or Reels that we share. Students will do an Instagram takeover, so a day in the life where they are literally showcasing their motivations in action and talking about that. Or they can create a blog post that we share on our website, and they also share on their LinkedIn. So I would strongly encourage you all to check out our Instagram. You can follow us at UIC LAS Career. You can scan the QR code, or if you go to our website, which is career.las.uic.edu, if you don't really use Instagram, that is totally fine, but you can access it on the website as well. So I want to highlight some of the student showcases because it really just brings to life this work. So if you go to our Instagram, and actually, if any of you all are looking, oops. Can you see my Instagram? Nice. So if you go to our profile, students who do a day in the life, that gets saved on our profile under the highlights. And so this has been a really cool tool because when we're working like recruitment events, or when we are working with a student who is trying to explore different interests, we can literally say, oh, go watch this student who did a really cool dermatology internship and how she connected her major to this work, right? Or, you know, maybe the student is like, I have no idea where to start. I really want to work in corporate law. What is that like? We can have them watch a highlight, and students literally demonstrate their day in the life, and they're also talking about their motivations and how that fits in with their day-to-day. And so I would encourage you all to check some of those out. It's a really great way for students to ask questions anonymously and have our students respond to those. And then we also have some stagnant videos that we can use. These are some of the students from the class who share advice, who share a little bit about their motivations. So I'll showcase some of those. But if we have any social media experts. Feel free to check that out. It's a really fun way for students to talk about their motivations. And so I took some screenshots here. These are from those takeovers where a student talks about how she's really motivated to mentor students because it allows me to achieve my potential through practicing experience that I wouldn't have otherwise had without this internship. So these two are from our takeovers, and then we also have several blogs. If you use this QR code, go to our short link on our website, you can see some of our student blogs. Students, again, share those on their LinkedIn, and they're on our website so that we can refer other students to those blogs. All right, here's Noah. Noah decided to do a video, and I love the way he articulates his motivations in this.
Hello everybody, my name is Noah. I'm a senior at UIC, and I spent my summer semester being a research assistant in the Liberal Arts and Sciences department. Today in this video, we're going to go over a little bit of what I did and my main takeaways from this experience. So throughout my research assistantship, I learned a lot about my motivations. I learned that I love empowering others with the research and the information I'm able to provide in a way that, my own goals and my own biases and prejudices do not harm another person from being able to pursue their own goals. I also learned that I'm excited to progress with my career whenever my feedback is deemed valuable and is integrated into the process. I like having agency over the project I'm working on, and it just motivates me to know that other people think that my own insights are valuable. So looking in the future, I want to diversify my social science research skills. This one project, developed a competency in one particular skill, but I want to continue to sort of branch out and learn different research methods and apply it in all different sorts of ways. Hello, everybody.
So you can see how students are using their motivations also to talk about their career competencies and using that to reflect on sort of their why and then also what is next. This is another student who shared how his motivations really helped him to do a lot of problem solving in his internship and realized he really enjoys communicating and leading. And so Aldo shared about the communication competency and how that was really elevated in his internship. And then lastly, I love Tala's reflection of just this tool in general and how it has helped her with a future interview.
So I took a True Motivate assessment this semester, and one of my motivations was to be central. And at first I was like, what does that mean? But after really taking a step back and looking at my life, I realized I do that with every single thing that I do. I love being the middle person. I love being in the middle of a team, and I love being the person that everyone goes to and the person that everyone seeks guidance from. I really saw that come out in these internships, but I also saw it come out in like senior projects that I had to do with other people. I love being the leader, and I love being the person that is able to give guidance to everyone. I actually was able to use my motivations in a really cool job interview that I recently had. I was able to reference them and explain my work experience through my motivations, and to be central was a really key part in what I talked about because it really just makes up everything that I do.
So Tala was able, after she took the assessment, was able to use those characteristics and contributions in an interview, and she actually landed the job as working at a nonprofit working with adults with mental health issues. So it was, again, goosebumps, right? It's really cool to see how students are talking about it and the impact that it's having on students. And so a little bit about what else, we want to do with this. I think it'd be really cool to capture more data on the tool, doing like a pre and post assessment, just really expanding our reach so that more students are able to utilize this and utilize it early on, so that, again, it can students can use it and make better predictions and be more intentional about their college experience. And then I'm always trying to do new things in the class, creating new assignments. The social media was brand new a few years ago. And so always finding ways of keeping things fresh and finding ways that we can capture those student testimonials and then repurpose them on our social media and on our website. So I know I threw a lot at you all, and I want you to think about if there's one thing, one key takeaway, something that you would want to consider implementing in some of your courses or other storytelling tools, and would love to know if you want to share in the chat, like any takeaways, things that you're thinking you might want to utilize. This is great, Jimmy. Thanks for throwing all the links in the chat. Super helpful.
You bet. I loved being your sidekick.
Nice.
So yes, attendees, please feel free to put anything in the chat. If you have any questions, you can put them in the Q&A. We can see everything you're putting. Thank you for that. Lauren, you feel free to pull those in. We do have a question that's not really a question, but Fonda, thank you for sharing it. She says, I like the a day in the life. These are incredibly practical, tangible suggestions that you've provided. We're getting a lot of good feedback from individuals. Yes, the webinar will be accessible afterwards. 100%. We'll have a recording for you. You will automatically get the link from Zoom, but we'll also be sending out some emails as well. Glad that you're wanting to share that with others.
I'm getting goosebumps. I love hearing that you're excited, you're feeling inspired, that you have some new refreshing ideas, and I'm always happy to brainstorm with you all. So as you are digesting this, I want to encourage you all to connect with me on LinkedIn, email me. I'm always happy to set up some time to chat and would love to hear things that you are all doing too, and how we can collaborate and share resources and things like that. And then again, yeah, happy to answer other questions that you all have, and also wanted to share Sam's information. Anybody who has questions about the assessment itself and wants to connect with the True Motivate team, like I said, they have been incredible over the last couple of years. And so would strongly encourage you all to have a conversation with them and see, you know, how you might be able to utilize the tool. But happy to answer questions. I don't know if I see any in the Q&A.
We don't have any questions. We just have a lot of great positive feedback. I think everyone is just spinning with ideas of how they can incorporate some of this into their own career services. Sam, I would love for you to just introduce yourself, say a few words, just so people can have a face to the name, if you don't mind doing that for just a minute. I want everyone to notice that you can take the assessment yourself if you haven't already at truemotivate.com/webinar. Sam?
Yeah, thanks, Jimmy. Like Jimmy said, my name is Sam. I live here in Columbus, Ohio. I think I saw a couple other people in Columbus, but I actually graduated from the University of Tampa. And so I was first introduced as a career ambassador to the True Motivate assessment. Long story short, I interned with them my senior year and joined full-time right afterwards. So it's been really fun. But I work on, gaining all of our new campus partners and working on these different use cases, whether it be internships or first-year experience or general career courses. So if anyone's interested or has questions or wants to hear more about your results, feel free to shoot me an email or connect with me on LinkedIn. I don't see it on here, but I will throw it in the chat. So if you want to connect with me.
Thank you, Sam. Yes, you guys can just make an appointment with Sam at truemotivate.com/meet-Sam, or you can just email him. You see his email address there. We will be following up with everyone, of course. Lauren, did you want to answer that question orally?
Yes, I will. Hey, Rob. So Rob asked about consent forms for students. And yes, all the students that I shared in this presentation signed consent forms, and any students who we share their blogs or videos on our website, that we have a media consent form that our college uses. And so it's something that I have them do before I upload it and share it with the world. So.
Okay, thank you. Looks like we don't have any remaining questions. Lynn has given you a lovely compliment that you glow when talking about your students. I definitely agree with that, and it does make your presentation all the better. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you, Lynn. Yes, I
Thank
love
you
my
for
job. I love what I do.
Thank you for
Um,
sharing your glow with us, Lauren. I think, you know,
always.
Lauren is glowing because she is operating within her motivations. And that's what happens when we do that. When we're flowing with our motivations, we do glow. That's the whole point of what we're doing here today. Rob asked the question about FERPA.
FERPA issues. Are there any FERPA issues with the videos? Not sure. Again, because students are giving access and saying like, I'm very specific with where I'm sharing it. And because of the content that's being shared, I don't believe so. But students, I'm very transparent with them, and this always after they've submitted and they know what they're sharing. So, and then I did see a question from Jana about students being able to take the assessment for free. And Jana actually works here with UIC, so I can share more information about that. And then I would encourage anybody else to connect with Sam to see how you can get access to the assessment. And for anybody here who's listening, like I would strongly encourage you to take it for yourself and then see where it makes sense to fit that in with your students or your staff. We've actually been using the assessment with our our mentorship program. So new advisors take the assessment and they take it with their mentor. And so that's been a really cool way that we've integrated the assessment with staff.
All right, you're just getting kudos galore everywhere. So Lauren, everyone appreciates you putting together this internship that you used with your students is a huge benefit. So thank you everyone for coming. We will be following up with that replay via email and some additional information. Please connect with Sam. Take the assessment yourself if you haven't already. Find out your motivations, and why not beef up your own LinkedIn profile with it. I love the idea of using AI. I'm going to be doing that later today. So thank you, Lauren. All right, everyone. I think that we are finished, so we're going to end it
Cool.
here.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Goodbye, everyone.